Welcome to the History AI podcast, where the past comes alive with facts, anecdotes, and a dash of humor. Here are your hosts, Chuck and Marco.
Welcome to another episode of the History AI podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Marco. Today, we are diving deep into the life of one of the most fascinating figures from the age of exploration, Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. Now Chuck, ever wondered how one would feel walking from Florida to Mexico with just the clothes on their back?
You mean apart from the multiple mosquito bites and the blistering heat? I think I'll stick to my couch and air conditioner, thank you very much.
True. But as we'll find out today, Cabeza de Vaca did something pretty close to that.
But before we dive into his epic journeys, let's start at the beginning. Cabeza de Vaca was born around 1490 in Jerez de la Frontera, Spain. His family was of the Spanish nobility.
That's right. His name actually translates to head of a cow. And no, it wasn't because he had a peculiar-shaped head. It dates back to a story where one of his ancestors played a crucial role in a battle by marking a hidden pass with a cow's skull.
Quite the quirky family emblem, I must say. As for Álvar, his early life was typical of Spanish nobility, filled with education and training for governmental and military roles.
Now, speaking of his talents, Cabeza de Vaca wasn't just any run-of-the-mill explorer. He was a diplomat, a treasurer, and held various roles in the Spanish government, both in the New World and in Spain.
Yes, he wasn't just walking around looking for a quick buck. He was an official with duties, responsibilities, and quite a knack for survival. We'll get to that shortly.
Moving forward to North America. In 1527, Cabeza de Vaca was appointed treasurer and alguacil mayor to the expedition led by Panfilo de Narvaez. The objective? To colonize Florida.
But as is the case with many exploratory missions, things didn't go quite as planned. Narvaez's expedition faced hostilities from the indigenous tribes, diseases, and even hurricanes,
leaving Cabeza de Vaca and a small group stranded on what's believed to be Galveston Island in modern-day Texas. And that's when the real adventure began. For nearly 8 years, Cabeza de Vaca traversed North America, journeying from Texas to western Mexico.
That journey sounds tiring just hearing about it. Imagine telling Cabeza de Vaca that centuries later, people would make that trip in mere hours by flying.
He'd probably ask for an upgrade to first class. But jokes aside, this journey wasn't just about survival. It was transformative for Cabeza de Vaca. He became a trader, a healer, and learned about the customs and languages of various indigenous tribes.
And among the few who were with him on this incredible journey was Estevanico, or Esteban, an enslaved African who became one of the first Africans to set foot in what's now the U.S. The bond between Cabeza de Vaca and Estevanico was unique.
Indeed. Despite the societal norms of the time, the harshness of their journey blurred the lines of class and race, forging a bond of mutual respect and survival between the two.
As we continue this deep dive, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Wave goodbye to sugar-loaded boosts and say hello to Strikeforce Energy. The energy drink additive revolutionizing how you power up, all without a single calorie or sugar. Just a squeeze, and you're set for action. Ready to make the switch? Visit strikeforceenergy.com. And for our listeners, spark your savings with an exclusive 20% discount. Just use code UTSALAX24 at checkout. Remember, UTSALAX24. Strikeforce Energy, elevate every sip.
Welcome back. Now, after his return to Spain, Cabeza de Vaca documented his experiences in his book, La Relación. This wasn't just another adventure story. It provided invaluable ethnographic details about the indigenous peoples of North America.
La Relación is considered one of the earliest and most detailed European records of the American Southwest and its indigenous inhabitants. It's a real page-turner if you're into adventures, anthropology, or just stories of sheer perseverance.
And perseverance was a common theme in Cabeza de Vaca's life. After North America, he was appointed as the governor of Rio de la Plata in South America. But that tenure was filled with challenges, and he was eventually arrested and sent back to Spain.
Yet, his impact on history is undeniable. His narratives paved the way for future explorers. His emphasis on peaceful collaboration with indigenous peoples, although not always practiced, was ahead of his time.
And speaking of time, our time for today's episode is coming to an end. Chuck, how about we wrap this up?
Absolutely, Marco. Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca's life was filled with highs, lows, adventures, and invaluable contributions to our understanding of early American history. From his family's peculiar name to his unimaginable journeys, his legacy lives on.
And that's it for today's episode, folks. If you loved our journey through history today, don't forget to like, rate, and share our podcast.
And if you ever find yourself stranded on an island, maybe don't try walking to another country. Just wait for rescue.
Sound advice, Chuck. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the History AI podcast. Goodbye.